Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. We're here in the tropical island to look for the Black Mask. We were told about the Black Mask in Mysidia. It is one of the 3 items we're going to need to eventually get into the Mysidia Tower where the ultimate magic is. So apparently we need to find the Black Mask, the White Mask, and then go to a cave near Mysidia and find the Crystal Rod. And that'll allow us to access into the tower. So, we would have come to this dungeon a little bit later on in the game if we were doing the way the game tells you to do dungeons. We'd actually end up getting the white masks first. But, like I said, just the way that the enemies scale in this dungeon compared to the Deist Cavern, it's easier to go here, build up your stats and your skills so that you can actually go through the Deist dungeon easier. So, this dungeon, the enemies are pretty appropriately leveled. They're like levels like 2 through 4, so basically the same levels as the Dreadnought enemies, where a lot of the enemies in the Deist Cavern can get up to like levels 4 and 5. So this will definitely make the Deist Cavern much easier. We can also get some pretty good equipment here. If you have, we'll get a good piece of light armor. There's a decent axe here you can get, spear as well. So there's a little village in the middle of this cave. So it's a pretty big cavern. So it's a good place for us to gain some stats. Like I said, and the good thing is it's kind of a fun dungeon. A lot of dungeons, when you think about it, they're like creepy. They're non-colorful. Gray, drab. Well, this one's like green and kind of vibrant. Get this like earthy feel to it. And it's really neat. They do a lot of stuff with like the layers and sprite work in here. There's like grass that you'll walk through that kind of covers you up. Then there's vines that you walk under. So it's a really neat dungeon. It's probably like my favorite dungeon in the game, which is good because we're going to be in this dungeon for the next 3 episodes. So yeah, it's a long one, but it's a fun one. So it's not like the Desert Pyramid that I hate, that I always make mention of that I hate when I play the Final Fantasy V 4-Job Fiesta. So yeah, we get to see little grass there, we kind of get covered by it. Makes me think of Zelda. I wish I could just chop that grass down and get rubies, or in this case, gold. Not that gold is really all that important anymore. I said gold is mainly being used right now to buy ethers, and then eventually we can even cut back on our ether usage. The one cave that we get the Crystal Rod in has a spell in there, the Osmos spell. It's a black magic spell, and you can use it to drain MP off of enemies. So that's a good spell. You can get it from another Warlocks, I think they are called. They're like the upgraded magicians. They drop that spell, so if you end up getting lucky and getting another one of them, you can throw it on your white mage as well. One way the white mage can get MP back, and it's also a kind of a cheap way to gain stats, it's the swap spell that was available in Mysidia. What you can do with the swap spell is basically when you cast the swap spell on the target, if it hits the target, it will swap the caster's hit points and magic points with the target's hit points and magic points. So if you're really weak and you cast it, you can get really strong depending on what you cast it on. Conversely, if you're really strong and then you cast on something really weak, you can guarantee a lot of stat increases. So say you're like, Fess right now, he goes into battle with a goblin. Uses the swap spell on the goblin, then he'll hit points will go down to 6, which is how many hit points the goblin has at max, and his MP will go down to 0, which is how many the goblin has. So because he loses so many hit points, so many magic points, it's pretty much guaranteed that he'll probably get stamina, hit point increase, magic power increase, and then MP increase. So it's a good way to gain a lot of stats, if you're kind of cheesing the thing, but I'm not going to do any of that cheesing, because I kind of want to show that this game can be beaten without, doing the cheesy tactics. Everyone thinks that, oh, this game is so hard, you have to, cheese, you have to use these tactics like attacking your own characters, doing the select cancel glitch where you like select an input, cancel it with the B button, and go through that over and over again to build up your levels like real quick. For instance, I could like have Booker attack the stunner, and then when it goes to Leila's turn, press B to cancel, then have Booker input attack again, and to do that 100 times, it'll guarantee that Booker will gain a level for his sword and shield. So it's a way to get like really, really powerful. Although I think there's an overflow. I know there's an overflow in a lot of older games, where like if you if you go like over the max amount, it overflows back to 0. Or there's also the underflow glitch, which is very similar. If you go under 0, it flips back to the top. It rotates around. I think that happens here with this game too, because one time in a practice run, what I ended up doing was I ended up getting a really weak weapon, and that wouldn't do any damage basically unless I got a critical hit. And I just kept one character alive, and I went out into the desert by the Mysidia, their castle, and they're level 5 monsters there. And I was just like, I want to see if I can get like my all my weapon skill up to and shield skill up to 16. And so like I'd have to fight these enemies multiple times, or I'd have to take multiple rounds, because like say rank 16 or rank 15, a rank 5 monster, you have to attack them 11 times before you even get one stat. So basically, I'd have to be attacking these monsters like 100 some times, to things. So that's why I equipped a weapon that basically was too weak to pierce their defense. And so I'd end up getting, I ended up maxing out my strength on, my evasion, got to like 1699, but at that rate, I noticed that I was getting hit more often than normal. So I often wonder if maybe if the game kind of rolled it over and put me back down to, like 1 agility, 1 evasion. Because the way the evasion stat works, like right now, like say like Booker might have like 254. That means he has 2 chances at 54% to dodge a physical attack. So I wonder if it kind of rolled over. So yeah, that the rollover glitch, that's one of the famous ways that speedrunners beat Final Fantasy Legend 3. There's robots that you can make really, really powerful at the beginning of the game, but you have to spend a lot of money to buy parts for them to make them, max them out. And the game kind of balances it by, parts are expensive, so, early game you're not going to be able to afford a lot of parts because of just the expense of them. But there's an enemy that steals money off of you, and it automatically steals, like, say, 300 gold pieces off you. So if you get into a fight with this enemy and you have, like, 200 gold pieces, it'll steal 300 gold pieces off you, and it'll roll under, and so then you're basically left with, like, max money. And then you can, and the enemy is encountered, pretty early in the game, like in the first, like, 10% of the game. So you can, like, max out a character that basically can just roll through the rest of the game, so early in the game. That underflow glitch is also used in SimCity for the money code. Basically, you spend all your money, and then when the budget comes up, you have like no money, but then you like give 100% of the money that the fire departments and the police department and the transportation departments request. And the game tries to take that money from 0, and it goes under 0, which then puts you into, you would think would put you into debt, but the way, it's early game coding, it rolls it over to, like $1 million, which is more than enough to pretty much build anything in SimCity. So I'll eventually do a playthrough of that game, but that'll be like simulation year. Have Harvest Moon, that's a farming game, do like a simulation thing with that. So like I said, the big thing right now is getting through the Final Fantasies and then the Dragon Quests, at least the Nintendo type versions. So one of these days though. But so yeah, pretty interesting how just playing these games and learning about them. I mean, like, I had no idea like how some of these things worked, like the underflow glitch and overflow glitch. I just realized that it happened. And when I was a kid playing SimCity at my cousin's house, we were just like, oh, that's just, the way to do it and play it. You didn't know why it happened, but, as I do these playthroughs, I try to figure out the mechanics of stuff, and so I can share them, and be entertaining as I play the games. So, but yeah. So it's like I said, it's interesting to see how gaming works and coding works. I took a little bit of coding when I was in high school, basic programming, and then I did a little bit of coding for that multi-user dimension game, Ancient Anguish. So I learned little things about it. Like these enemies here, Werewolves and Stunners, they probably have like, so they don't have to recreate the code for all the time. For those type of enemies, they probably have a base code that like all rat type enemies will inherit. So that like base code will have, like their attacks automatically poison, and they're the class wear, so they take extra damage from wear. These jelly monsters, they all have, max defense. So it doesn't matter if you're like creating a new jelly monster, you just would inherit the base jelly monster code. So you wouldn't have to create all the code from scratch. So it's a way to like kind of save code and save line. So it's a little interesting little ways just from coding through the game, just from that minimal coding experience that I had. How I can see how game developers worked and stuff like that. But I'm not a proficient coder or anything like that. When I coded, I mainly looked at other people's examples, how to code, and kind of copied from them, and added my own little spin on it, Because I couldn't tell you, like, how to necessarily end things. I would just see how people coded for, a monster to react to a certain keyword, and then I would just change the keyword up or the condition, So if monster X gets hit by, variable A, then A equals thing, then the monster will, cast this on himself, or if B, so. But yeah, got a lot of respect if you look into coding, the folks who actually go out and do it. So it's interesting. I wonder how like people initially, learn the language and how to do it. So I had a friend who did, an old friend, we don't speak anymore, but he was a coder. He went to college for computer coding, and then he also went to a trade tech school for IT repair. So that's what he did for a while. But then he got busted doing some criminal stuff online, and that ruined his whole life. So that's not why we didn't talk, though. But it's a little bit more complicated. But nobody needs to know the story, other than the specifics of the story. So yeah, I'm not gonna delve into that kind of stuff. So, but we are Fess, Maxine, Booker, and Leila are going to delve deeper into this cavern here. We're going to end up in a split section. Unlike the the Deist Cavern has a split section too. Remember when we jumped in there was the east, you can get the pendant. The southwest, you go to treasure. Southeast will take you to the life spring. There's actually going to be a split in this cavern too, coming up. So one way is going to take us to the bottom where we find the black mask, and the other is going to take us into this village. So we're going to go to the village first because we can get some good equipment, and you get a little bit more lore on the black mask. So I think it's kind of appropriate that we go there first. Just how I felt it was appropriate that we go here first before we do the Deist Cavern type thing. So, this game also has an easier boss. So, well, a potentially easier boss. So yeah, in the Deist Cavern, the boss can be anywhere between 1 and 4 enemies. We're here we're only guaranteed to fight 1 enemy, and they're both rank 5 monsters. So much easier to go here. So, yay. A lot of jelly enemies in here, so it's a good place for Maxine to work on her skills, her magic. So, and some of these moose enemies are weak to the thunder, so Leila can also get some good practice in with her magic. So, although right now she's probably doing more damage, like I said, with her bow, because it's severely overpowered for this part in the game. Like I said, if we would have probably gotten if we would have went through the Deast Cavern, we could have gotten the fire bow, which I think has 10 less attack power than the ice bow. But there will be times when we will, because the elemental system in this game works, there will be times, even though the flame bow is weaker than the ice bow, that we will actually use the flame bow rather than the ice bow. Because remember, if you exploit an elemental weakness with a piece of equipment, you gain plus 20 to the attack power. So there'll be times when, you know, say an enemy is weak to fire, even though the ice bow is 10 points stronger than the fire bow, we'll get 20 points added to the fire bow's strength because it's exploiting a weakness that'll actually make it 10 points stronger than the ice bow. So that's why I try to put the stats of enemies when I first meet them, so you can see, you know, hey, this is what the enemy is weak to, so I know how to plan what spells to attack with. So, speaking of that, I saw on the Game FAQ's message board for this, people talking about different challenge runs, and one of the challenge runs that people were saying was maybe a challenge run with like no magic. And that would be really, really tough, because magic for a good portion of the game there was helping us through those boss battles. You know, the Sergeant battle, then the Adamantine battle in the Snow Cave. I guess you could get rid of them through that. We did get the Arctic Wind in the Snow Cavern, but taking out the Sergeant would be pretty tough. So, because you don't really have good weapons to pierce his defense, you basically have to rely on critical hits. Although you can make Minwu basically invincible in that battle, throw up a protect spell on him and then a blink spell on him, and he should be able to dodge most of the Sergeant's attacks, and ones that he can't dodge should only take, you know, 0 off of him, unless of course the Sergeant would critical hit. Remember, critical hits remove the defense, the character's defense from the equation. Yeah, all these jellies, they have 210 defense, so that's why whenever we hit them, we basically do no damage unless we get a critical hit. And then we just basically do like our attack power and damage. Hey, Leila got some thunder level, nice. Maxine gaining a lot of intelligence. Eventually, we hope we gotta get Fess to gain some more spirit. Got a sleep grass item there, basically that you can use as an item and it puts enemies to sleep. So, not really all that important. We'd rather be, maybe you can throw it on your wizard, and, you know, if you run out of ethers and you don't want them to gain like stats and anything else. So, give them something to do. Because remember, whenever you use a physical attack, there's always the chance that your strength will go up. And if your strength goes up, there's always the chance that the inverse stat, in this case intelligence, would go down. And obviously you don't want your mage's intelligence to go down, because every 4 of them gives a multiplier to their damage. So, hey, Fess got some spirit there, nice. So that's you know, one way you can just, you know, use consumable items. Spider silk, that slows down an enemy. I think that reduces the amount of hits that they can do. So, got another enemy here, wild horns. So, let's hit them with our magic, try to take them out. Just really want to work on our thunder and scourge spells though, so sadly, because Leila got that extra thunder level, now her thunders cast 3 spells, 3 MP to cast, so she won't be able to cast any more things, and I'm not going to waste an ether on her. Our ethers are better served on Fess and Maxine. because once again they're permanent party members, and we want to build up their spirit and intelligence. So yeah, Leila, she will eventually leave us, but Leila is actually one of the longer serving party members, probably the second longest out of all the party members that we get. So she will leave eventually, but then she'll come back. So her and Gordon are kind of gonna flip-flop for a mission, but Leila is like one of the few party members that you kind of want to do maybe some investment in, but we don't want that investment to come at the cost of our 3 characters who stay with us all the time. Another intellect and some agility for Booker, nice. So, alrighty, we are almost at the village, and more slime monsters. So, angry scoops of ice cream they look like. I forget, somebody said that. They described these monsters as angry scoops of ice cream. Mm-hmm. I haven't had ice cream in a long time. Mainly because, like I said, I'm vegetarian, but I'm not vegan, so I theoretically could drink. I could drink milk, and because I eat cheese with pizza, so I do dairy. But I try to limit the amount of dairy I use. So with my cereal, I only use the soy milk, and so I just avoid getting ice cream, because it's probably counter to me trying to lose some weight and get in better shape this year too. So, but I still have vices. 7-Eleven cola Slurpees. They're my way of getting through the morning grind at work. So some people have coffee, which is probably better, but I can't stand the taste of coffee. Which is weird because my mom and dad swear by it. So we're in this weird village here. Ooh, where are you coming from? Oh, why are you not wearing a mask? And most of the people are just gonna say the same thing. Here. There is one person, though, that moves slowly, and they're like the vendor, and they're over to the right. Stay away from the black mask at KV bottom. So, wonder why they don't want us to go to the mask. But yeah, these guys kind of remind me of the Shy Guys from Mario 2, the version that was released in America. So there's actually a different Mario 2 in Japan that was released as eventually over here in America as the Lost Levels. So the slow-moving one, he's a merchant, so we can sell some stuff, because we need to get some inventory space, because there's a lot of more treasure in this thing. Like I said, we're going to be here for like 3 episodes. So we have some good spear there, a good axe to buy. The Gaia drum, Ruby is a good light armor, and it gives a little bit of protection from fire. So we're going to buy that. Give us some defense finally, some fire protection, and because it's a light armor, it's not really going to cut into our evasion much. So we'll give everybody some ruby armor. The Earth drum there, the Gaia drum, that basically casts like Quake 16. But remember, like, items, they use the targeting, that the multi-targeting, so it's really more like Quake 4. Because remember, when you multi-target, you divide the spell's power by 4. So we're just going to use the warp spell real quick here to get back a few levels back to where we split to go to the village. So right here is where we're going to stop, and we'll pick up here in our next episode where we head further into the cave, to the cave bottom, to find that black mask. Take care, have a good day. Bye!